Welcome to the Introvert Sisters, the podcast by introverts for introverts, hosted by Sharon and Lisa, two INFJs with a lot to say.
Hi, I'm Sharon.
And I'm Lisa.
And together,
we're the Introvert Sisters.
Welcome to our podcast.
Welcome to our podcast.
Welcome to our podcast. And you may notice something a little bit different about us today.
Yeah, we're both, I don't know how long this is going to last, but we're both trying this video thing without our glasses. And I don't know about you. I have two issues at hand. One is that I have, light sensitivity.
Yes.
And I have a ring light shining in my eyes. So I'm already in a little bit of pain. So let's see how long that lasts. and B, like we're both long-term glasses wearers. And so I don't know if I can even see anything clearly right now. Everything is a beautiful haze.
The glasses may go back on at some point during this recording, right?
Yes, like in the next minute or so.
Maybe we should just accept defeat.
I don't know.
Carry on.
Let's see how long it lasts. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to start with introverts uniting separately, as we quite often do.
Yeah. So what's been going on with you, sis? Like, what's happening?
Well, the big event of the past week is that I took part in a conference called Solopreneur Live, and so
nice.
I took part in a panel discussion. The theme of which I can't remember right now. But then I also did a presentation on freelancing while Black. Unfortunately, I can
tell what
some of the challenges and opportunities. No, challenges and solutions. That's what it was. Some of the things that Black freelancers have to think about that other freelancers might not have to think about. And one simple example is, do I even put my face on my website? Do I even let people realize that I'm out there? Do I let people realize where I am? Okay, so that is it. And then, how I have coped with all of those things. And so that was really interesting. The conference is over now, unfortunately. But, if you are running a solo business, we can drop a link to the site. And so you can decide whether this is something you want to sign up for next year. I am hoping to do another presentation next year. I have no idea on what. And so this is part of my, my bid to do a little more speaking about these issues, about the issues of being Black as a freelancer, Black in the workplace, Black in general, talk about anti-racism and so on. So what about you, sis? What have you been up to?
Just, living life, working. As you know, and some of our listeners know, I also have another podcast for that one, we took a hiatus over the initial stages of the pandemic, what we thought was going to be a couple of months. us and everybody else in the world, we thought, okay, we'll, we'll chill for a couple of months until this silly virus is gone, and it's still here. So we had taken a hiatus and just getting that back together, getting back up to speed, preparing some more content for release. So that's what I've been working on, and just like generally enjoying the weather warming up a bit. Like it's a little bit warmer. It's not, tank top weather yet, but
it's getting there, right?
I see light. We're getting there, and I am so excited I can't even stand it. Because I am an island girl at heart, and so cold weather really
is not your sweet spot. All right, I'm going to cry uncle, and I'm putting back on my glasses. I don't know about you.
Oh my gosh, you took the words right out of my mouth. Like,
okay,
my eyes are actually in pain.
Oh no.
Seriously.
Oh no. Okay. That was an experiment we probably should not have done at all. And we're not going to do it again. But
It's
you
fine.
had your one chance, people, to see us without our glasses. This may not ever happen again.
Ever.
Woo.
That was
All right.
it. Okay,
So
so
let's get on to our main topic in our world. So the thing is, often as introverts, we're made to feel deficient simply for being who we are, especially at work, right, sis?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
People say things like, great job, but your personality sucks, right?
Yeah.
And they want.
I mean, they don't exactly say it that way. They don't exactly say it that way, but
it's clear.
That's what they mean.
It's clear. It's always very clear. And people always want you to come out of your shell and speak up more. And so we were wondering, we had a conversation about this a couple of weeks back. In fact, what if introverts said the same kind of messed up things to extroverts that they say to us?
Right. And actually, sis, do you remember well, of course you remember because you wrote it. You wrote an article maybe a couple of months ago now about what if Black people said to white people the same thing about their hair.
Yes. What if the tables were turned? What if white people experience life the way Black people do? We'll drop a link to that.
Yes.
But yes.
Yes. And yes, including and one that I noticed resonated with a lot of people that read it was the, what if sort of like Black people who were the hegemonic class, and insisted that white people come to work with their hair in a curly fro at all times.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
And people were like, okay, well, that sounds completely ridiculous. And you were like, exactly.
And
so this is, I guess, along that same vein, right?
Exactly. So, some of these may sound discordant, weird, or even mean. And that's really the point. This is, we're trying to share with you how it feels when the roles are reversed. Introverts are out here feeling attacked for existing quietly. So
yes.
Let's start with the first one, sis. You go.
Okay, so the first one is, introvert saying to an extrovert, well, why are you so loud? Why are you so loud all the time? You shouldn't speak as much or so loudly. Like I can barely hear myself think. Just don't be so loud.
Yeah, dial it down
right?
a bit. Dial it down a bit.
Dial it down a bit. That is for, every time that we have been told, why are you so quiet? Why are you so quiet? You should speak more. Why are you so quiet? You speak so quiet. Right? And so,
exactly.
So we would say to extroverts, well, why are you so loud? And yes, that is ridiculous as it sounds.
And then, following on from that, why don't you go into your shell, extroverts, right? You are sucking the life out of the room and making everything about you, right? Now, all introverts have heard, why don't you come out of your shell, right? And, we're out here just being the person that we are. So if we asked you as extroverts to go into your shell, that would be as unnatural for you as coming out of our shell would be for us, if you call it a shell. Because I don't actually agree with that terminology at all.
Even call it a shell.
I don't agree with that terminology at all, but we're going with what has actually been said to us, right? These are things. These are things that we have heard.
That we have heard repeatedly. And can I just say that if we're sticking with the shell, the term of the shell, I love my shell, by the way, right? I think most introverts would agree that we love our shells, extroverts, as much as you love not having a shell. Okay. So just let people be. All right, sis. What is it, you or me? I don't remember.
I think
so
it's you.
What is
Go
it?
Next. Go next.
Right. Okay, so the next one is, are you okay? You look bizarrely overexcited for no reason. You've been talking nonstop for minutes without taking a breath. Just try to relax. Right? And of course, that one is for every time we've heard, are you okay? You look upset.
Oh my gosh. It's like if every introvert is accused of having RBF, right? It's like there's this thing where you're just there being quiet, and people think that you are upset or annoyed or angry about something, and you're just there quietly taking it in the introvert way, right?
Yes. Just
You
living,
know?
just living life, being yourself, minding your business, and not bothering people about their face. And then here comes somebody asking you about your face. Anyway, whatever.
And it's
Okay,
okay,
what's the next one?
very related to that. Introvert says to extrovert, why don't you speak up less? Okay, there are 20 people in the meeting, but you're not leaving room for anybody else's ideas to be heard. You do not need to fill every silence. Just shh, shh, shh. And this again is for every introvert can relate to having been told, why don't you speak up more? And as we all know, introverts are thinkers and planners. And so, just because we're not speaking, it doesn't mean nothing is going on. In fact, when we're not speaking, a lot is going on. We're paying attention. If you've ever been in a meeting with a lot of introverts, you'll have the extroverts speaking loudly on one hand, and you'll have the introverts who will listen for 30 minutes and then come out with a gem, right?
Yes. Yes,
And
exactly.
I love my introvert people, but this is called the Introvert Sisters, and we're celebrating introversion. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So what's next?
And it is to be celebrated. And I think I think basically this whole thing really is about accepting people as they are, in all their glory and all their diversity. And part of that diversity is accepting different personality types and not making people feel wrong just for who they are.
I agree.
Okay, so
well said.
Related to what you said just now, another one is, why don't you pause and think more? Why don't you give things a bit more thought? Your stream of consciousness right now that you're spewing is not making any sense, right? And which I've actually experienced with a lot of extroverts. And this, of course, is for all the times that we've heard, why are you always thinking so much? Why don't you lighten up? Why are you always thinking? Just stop thinking.
Yes. And and thinking is important. Thinking is important. I think if you had a team where everybody was doing and nobody was thinking, you wouldn't get very much achieved, to be honest.
Exactly.
And so related to that, there is, why don't you plan or prepare more? Give people a chance to know what's happening instead of having to rely on guesswork. And many introverts will relate to having been told, wing it, you'll be fine. Now, most of us are not natural wingers. Okay, we are.
Girl,
we are people
if I was to wing things, I would be a bird. No winging.
No, we like to think, we like to plan, we like to prepare. As I said to somebody the other day, as an introvert, I am not your ad-libber. I need to plan for what's going to happen, and then I feel comfortable and confident to go on speaking. And sometimes,
yes, and actually, so go ahead.
No, all I was going to say is, sometimes it's nice to be in a room where you can tell that the other person has actually planned and thought about it, so that there's a coherent argument, right, being made, a coherent discussion. And what were you going to say? I
think I forgot.
Okay, no problem.
Which happens to me a lot, but that's fine. It was a good one too. It was going to be so good.
It may come back. You never know.
It may.
Right.
All right. Is that me next?
Yeah, you next.
Okay. So the next one is introverts to extroverts saying, why are you so familiar? Why are you so uncomfortably familiar? Why are you all in my space being so friendly? Right? Like, back up a little bit. And this is for all the times that introverts have heard, you seem really aloof.
Oh my gosh.
People don't feel comfortable around you because you seem so aloof. Well, guess what? Introverts don't feel comfortable around you because you're all in our space all the time, and you need to back up.
And think about, when you're coming into a space where there are introverts, sometimes it's simply that, we're being who we are. We're not the people that are going to be out there. And it doesn't mean that we hate everybody or that we think we're better than everybody. It's just that we're taking time to soak in the atmosphere before we feel comfortable enough to start interacting. So, let's have a little more understanding of each other, right?
Yeah, for sure. And what's the next one after this?
Okay, so the next one is, why don't you seem able to work independently? This is introverts to extroverts. Versus, why aren't you more collaborative, which we have heard. And now,
why aren't you? We hear all the time, why aren't you a team player? You seem like you're not a team player because you're so quiet, because you're so aloof. Yes.
Because you're not modeling extroversion, then that is somehow counted against you. But, as we keep reiterating, introverts have strengths. We are good at thinking, analyzing, sifting, planning, synthesizing, strategizing. And we're actually really, really good at working independently and coming up with something that is really useful and coherent, right? Nothing wrong with being on a team, but we're also quite capable of going it alone. And I don't think that if we produce something independently, if we're not the loudest person on the team, I don't think as introverts we should be slated for it, right?
Yeah. Again, the theme of this is stop making introverts feel deficient for just being who they are and how they are.
Exactly.
That really is the message. So which leads us to the next one. This is one of my favorites. Extroverts, why don't you stay in more? Right? Why don't you stay in? Like, maybe you could achieve some of your goals if you focused and stop trying to distract yourself constantly with activity. Why don't you stay in more? Just saying. And this is, of course, for all the times that introverts hear, why don't you get out more? This, why don't you get out of your shell is part of it. That's a personality thing. But, we also hear, why don't you get out more? Go out and mingle with the people. And no. We don't want to. So extroverts, you stay in, you try staying in and see how horrible that feels because you want to be out.
Right. And we, again, as introverts, we cannot be out there all the time. It's not our personality type. It's not good for our mental health. Sometimes we need to recharge. I don't know about you, sis, but if I have gone out tonight, please don't ask me to go out tomorrow. Okay. Or the next day. Give me a couple of days to recover. And I don't know about, I've certainly got better at honoring that part of myself. Part of this, we're laughing about it, but part of this is that, as introverts, we're often made to feel so wrong just for being ourselves. And so we try to fit into that mold that other people try to put us in. And, especially when you're younger, you try to do that, when you get older and you say, hey, hang on, I can just be me, whatever, right? But you try to fit into that mold, and then you do what you think you're supposed to do, but you still feel bad, you still feel wrong. And it's because you're not being true to yourself, you're not being authentic. And so, we want to be free to be our authentic selves, to be our introverted self, to celebrate our introverted selves. So no, we don't want to get out more, but you try staying in more and see how that works, right?
Exactly. And a related one to that is, why are you so social? Like, why do you need to be around people all the time? Why are all your conversations so shallow, right? All the time the introverts hear, why are you so antisocial? And why are you so deep? Like, why are all your conversations so deep? Lighten up a little bit.
Oh my gosh. Yes. The number of times, you hear, people have asked you a question and then you give them chapter and verse and it's like they've switched off after sentence one and you're just getting started because you've really given this some deep thought. Right.
Right.
And so, it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. So,
and introverts tend to prefer deep conversation versus small talk.
Exactly.
Right? So extroverts, what if you were like literally forced to have just deep conversations all the time? Like if you were forced to do that. Like, just imagine how that feels. So, that's how introverts feel, being forced to go out to these of course, it's probably more so in pre-corona times, but
Pre-corona times, certainly.
Go out to cocktail parties and all these after work gatherings where, honestly speaking, you don't like these people and they don't like you. And it's not even or not even a case of like and dislike, but you don't really know them. You don't know them. They don't know you. It's all fake, right? Who has time for it?
Yes.
So we feel that feels as bad to us as the inverse would feel to you.
And, I want to say here, sis, that, in COVID times, the equivalent of that is being forced to be cameras on all the time. Right?
Yes.
Right. Because I know we've talked before about how exhausting Zoom calls are. And so there's this idea that you have to be even more extroverted on screen, because, it's the boundaries of the small screen. You've got to be out there. You've got to be there raising your hand and, contributing nonstop instead of thinking about what you're hearing, synthesizing it, coming up with good ideas and taking the little quiet time you need in your brain to do so. Right.
So, and on another note, what has happened to me, I don't know if this is an age thing. I don't know if it is, post-concussion syndrome or whatever that is called, right? But, we're definitely all under a lot of stress now. And for me, I've been finding it harder and harder daily. I find it more and more difficult to focus. And so honestly speaking, it is as much as I can do, putting my full self into it to focus on what is being said in the meeting. And like I have to put my entire brain into concentrating on that.
Yes.
Right. And so having to also think about cameras on, do you look okay? Are you putting your hand up enough? Are you making incessant comments in the team chat? Oh my God, it's like, there's a meeting going on. I'm trying to focus on that. Here comes somebody who's like, oh, great, we're in a meeting. So now I can ask this person these 20 questions I had to ask them, all along. So they choose a meeting when you are trying to focus on the meeting, right?
Yeah.
And they ask you all these questions. So all you hear is bing, 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 bing.
Yes.
No, this is not the time.
It can be really difficult. So, okay, so I'm going to quickly
Yeah.
recap those questions, just flipping the script. Here are the things that introverts could ask extroverts if we were so inclined, but we're not.
If we were as mean to extroverts as extroverts
right,
are to
we
us.
might ask,
Let's
why
be
are
clear.
you so loud? Why don't you go into your shell? Are you okay? You're bizarrely overexcited for no reason. Why don't you speak up less? Why don't you pause and give things more thought? Why don't you plan and prepare more? Why are you so uncomfortably familiar? Why don't you seem able to work independently? Why don't you stay in more? And why are you so social? Right?
Mm-hmm. So, and again, repeating, like extroverts, like, do you see bizarre all of that feels and sounds, right? Because it sounds weird, right? When you turn the tables around. And so that's why we did it, because we want to create that dissonance so that you can really experience how we feel when you say some of the messed up things that you say to us. So our message here is, stop doing it to us. And always remember,
text,
don't call.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
You've been listening to the Introvert Sisters. Loved what you heard? You can catch all our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and all other major platforms. Subscribe, rate, and write a review. Find us online at theintrovertsisters.com and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Introvert Sisters. See you next time. Peace.